Hey guys, how's it going? Josh here, and today we're going to talk about the Autobot-Decepticon War. So this is a pretty big part of the Transformers mythology. The TV shows have explored it, obviously the movies have explored it, and the video games also explored it too, with the video game actually being solely about this whole event, and I definitely recommend you guys check it out. It's a pretty good video game. Today though, we're going to talk about the movie version of events, and it's pretty cool. I mean, they kind of tease it in the first movie, and little by little they drop little hints about what happened. But unless you really check out like the prequel comics and all that other stuff, you don't know what happens beforehand. Like what started this war? What was the war before it ended up on Earth? So thousands of years ago, Cybertron, before it became kind of decimated, it was ruled by two beings, Orion Pax and Megatron. So Orion Pax was the science division leader of Cybertron, and Megatron was the leader of Cybertron's military. Now before them, it was ruled by a singular person, or being I should say, which was Sentinel Prime. But Sentinel Prime ended up going missing and was later on presumed dead. So Orion Pax and Megatron kind of split duties of leadership in that regard in his absence. And it worked really well. They had generations, decades, centuries of just peace and prosperity. And the science division's job was actually to study, examine, learn from the Allspark. And if you don't know what the Allspark is basically that cube from the first movie that the Cybertronians thought gave life to Cybertron and to them. Even though we found out now in the later movies, in the fifth movie, that there was actually creators who was behind the whole thing the whole time. So kind of mythology retconning in certain areas here. Like I said before, Orion Pax was the leader of the science division, Megatron leader of Cybertron's military. And they ruled Cybertron together. Eventually, this being called the Fallen, this ancient Cybertronian being who was evil, basically, just straight to the point, he was evil. He tempted Megatron and kind of tempted him with the power the Allspark could possess if Megatron took the Allspark instead of simply, protecting it and things like that, which was basically his job. Megatron fell for it as time went on, and eventually this great war developed between Orion Pax and Megatron, because obviously Orion Pax, is very noble, is very dutiful. He wanted to protect it as he was supposed to and keep it away from Megatron, who just wanted it for power purposes and basically to take over and conquer other worlds and Cybertron itself. In this whole process, as this happened, Orion Pax discovered that he was actually in the lineage of the legendary Primes, and in the process he became reborn as the being now known as Optimus Prime, and he led his faction of other Cybertronians who were later on called Autobots in protecting the Allspark from Megatron's group of Cybertronians that were called the Decepticons. Now this war lasted quite some time, a very unknown amount of time. They don't go specific with it, but it was a long enough period of time that Cybertron, near the tail end of this war, was basically decimated. I mean, they definitely destroyed the infrastructure of the planet, but the planet was actually dying. That's just how crazy this war got. Now, they don't know if it's because the Allspark was removed from the planet eventually or whatever have you. Basically, the war was, that destructive, which makes sense when you consider the capabilities of the Cybertronians. Unfortunately, Optimus Prime and the Autobots were outmatched in many ways, by the Decepticons and Megatron. So Optimus Prime basically ended up doing a Hail Mary, and he sent the Allspark across space. Sorry, I said space. What's a space? You guys tell me what a space is. Anyways, Optimus launched the Allspark across space, and Megatron followed, and afterwards many Autobots and Decepticons also went into deep space to track the Allspark, with some of them finding it correctly on Earth, where the war ended up continuing and the events of the first movie basically began. Hope you guys enjoyed this video, kind of going over the Autobot-Decepticon War. Come back later this week on Thursday, I believe, or Friday for more Transformers stuff, and stay on Hybrid Network for your favorite pop culture and movie entertainment, news, speculation, lore, etc. And I'll see you guys later.